Okay, this is a question about day zero, day one patches. And let's use Left 4 Dead as an example. This is back in the day, because this is the legacy way it used to be, is to get a game in the stores in November 25th. We in June would have to go to the stores and be like, hey, is November 25th a good day? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then we'd have to go to Microsoft and say, hey, we want to go in stores in November 25th. And we're going to put them in boxes and all this stuff. And so really we need to get it to the disc replicators October 25th in time to stock the shelves. And you pay them to stock the shelves and they still don't do it. Don't even start me. Okay, October 25th, Microsoft, how long is certification going to take? And they're like, a month. Oh, so we need to get it to you September 25th. And they're like, oh no, you're going to fail certification. You're going to fail it. So we need it September 1st for pre-cert. And you're like, okay, we could do that. So that means then, like, end of August, we're going to have to rush and make sure we get everything together and we remove the bugs. Now, remember, I've talked about this before. You have, like, three branches of your game. You have the daily playtest branch, noisy, staging, and you have then the release branch. Then the release branch, in this case, is still a little loose because no one's playing it yet. It's not out in the open. But this is the branch that you want to go send to disc replicators, right? And so that's kind of pretty sacred. And you have this thing called the candidate, right? And that's the candidate. It's like, hey, this is the build we're going to go send. And you're like, awesome. And then you're going to test it a bunch internally and look for bugs. You make sure all the weird certification things of plugging and unplugging controllers and like a bunch of crap. And so you do that. And then you go set it to pre-cert, and they're like, hey, you messed in this, and you do encrypted communication, or you don't do unencrypted. Like, there's something about communication we got wrong every single time, because, like, again, I can never remember if it's one way or the other. Whatever. Microsoft comes back, though, right? And so we're just working on that. And again, we're being really careful, right? While it can be a little noisy here, the staging branch and the shipping branch now are really careful, right? Because we're like, hey, we're really close, we're going to get it off, right? And it is crunchy time, because, like, the Left 4 Dead one, I've talked about this before, is like I was in Russia, actually I was in the UK, got sick in the UK because the editor of a certain magazine shook my hand and said, hey, I'm really sick, I shouldn't have done that. And he got me really sick, so I was sick all through Russia, fly back from Russia, and we're like going to cert the next day. So I did like a 36-hour day. And it's a mess. And it's like we have to do entire rebuilds of the game, right? Because you have to build it from scratch, because this is going to be what you're going to put on the disc, and it's got to be like the perfect build and everything. So you redo everything, all the lighting and everything, right? And at some point, like at 2 a.m, someone's like, "Hey, the maps load. Every map loads 3 times. Why? Let's just make it load it twice. That's better." And then characters just start disappearing. And well, let's not do that again. Let's just kick off a build. Again, and let's get it to Microsoft at 6 a.m. We're going to run it over to their offices at 6 a.m. and then we're going to hand it to them, and then woo, and then we're gonna decompress for a month, or not a month, a week, and then we're going to get back to work on the Steam version. But the Steam version now, we can just release an update day zero and you don't even notice it, right? It's just the game. I made a joke about day zero patches and how you're eventually going to just buy the disc that just links to downloading the game back in 2001 for World War II Online. So this has been going on for a while. Okay, but so you do that, and we're working on the Steam version, and then November 25th comes and we ship. But here's a problem. We've been working on this game this whole time. We've gotten it better. We've fixed a bunch of other little bugs that aren't cert bugs, that are just problem bugs, or they're more performant, or like a whole kinds of things. So at some point, from Microsoft, before November 25th, we're like, hey, do you mind if we update the game right away? And they're like, yeah, but you got to get it to us like November 4th. We're like, okay. So we get it to them November 4th, and then we still update. Actually, again, we decompress because it's not smart people. But then the game goes out on November 25th, and the first thing it does is it gets a patch because we fixed a bunch of this stuff. And the game's like, people try to glorify that games in the 80s and 90s were bug-free. No, they weren't. They had bugs. They just never got fixed. They were never going to get fixed because there's no way to fix them. But now that we have a way to fix them, what happens is people are like, hey, the stuff we've been working on, we're not going to stop working on this game anymore. We're going to keep working on it even after shipping because that's what people expect now, so we're going to make sure we fix it. Now there's a bad side to this where people are like, hey, we're coming in hot. Yeah, we'll fix that later. Right, and so that was the thing with our launching of our the community update. Why it took a little bit longer was I was really stringent of like, no, stop all the working. All we're going to care about is shipping because we're going to make sure we ship it. Now we actually have an update coming out this week, I think, that'll fix some of the stuff that wasn't in the original update. But even there, like, you have to stay at some point. You can't ship unless you cut it off, right? And so we don't have to do that whole thing in June now, deciding for a November date. But for us little guys, we still have to have that, right? We still have to have that. And you can never get everything in. There's always something you have to either say, hey, that's the next update, or that's going to come later, or whatever. And it just is really amplified by certification. Nowadays, though, I will say, to Microsoft's credit in particular, their certification process is way easier. It's way faster. Once you pass it a couple of times, because they want games to be cross-play, once you pass it a couple of times, you can pass it in just a day. Like you just submit the game and the next day it's available. And that's how we kept the Anacrusis in lockstep. It is out of lockstep now because of all the messiness of our updates with the community update. But once we figure out, like, yeah, this is the game now going forward for at least a few months, we will then go update the Xbox version of it as well. And then we'll have the same thing. But yeah, it's not a bad thing. It can be abused when people decide not to be hardcore about it. But like, I think everybody involved in our process knows how hardcore I am about that, because I am like, no, 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 no. If we have this locked down, we can go work on other stuff. But we are happy and proud of the thing that we are going to put out there in the world the way it is. And everything else is just more. And someone has to be disciplined about it. And that really isn't my personality, by the way. It's the one time it comes out, and I have no idea where it comes from. But it's